Hello and welcome back to my channel Physiatrics. Today we are going to discuss an interesting topic, that is COVID-19, and also we are going to discuss the role of physiotherapy in COVID-19. Let's start our topic today. Before going to the COVID-19, we must know what is it. COVID-19 is known as coronavirus disease 19. As the name suggests, corona and virus. What are these viruses? These viruses are such a species that do not belong to any category under the 5 kingdom classification of R. H. Whittaker. It was a drawback in his classification system that he could not place virus in any of the groups. So these viruses are actually the notorious personnel. They have a reputation of creating a public havoc. They are responsible for creating various pandemics, and the most recent one was the Ebola virus, which was in the year 2014 in the East Africa. So also another great example of this virus pandemic was H1N1 swine flu virus. As you know, this swine flu virus was having a worldwide pandemic outbreak. Let's know something about these viruses and how this COVID-19 has created a pandemic condition all over the world and attained a great attention from every corner of the society. What is coronavirus? Coronaviruses are a group of viruses that generally affects humans and other animals. It has basically of two groups. The first group affects the cats, bats and other animals, whereas the second group affects the human beings. The coronavirus which affects an individual gets resolved of its own with rest and having some mild irritation. But COVID-19 has evolved from the genetic reassortment of the influenza virus that is affecting and spreading in the people. As you know, the common cold that we have is due to the influenza virus. This influenza virus causes flu, that is with some common symptoms like sneezing and nasal congestion. So this influenza virus has undergone genetic reassortment. Let me explain it. These viruses actually mutate or change their characteristics by two ways. First is the single gene mutation and the second is the genetic reassortment. In single gene mutation, what happens? One of its genetic code changes, and which is quite easy to get. But in genetic reassortment, the total genetic code changes, which has happened in this COVID-19. The coronavirus is not new to the world. This virus has appeared before, not only once but twice. Coronavirus was first seen in 2003, known as the SARS-CoV, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, which was from an animal source but uncertain. It's presumed that it came from the bats, then to the civet cats and then to humans. Then this virus was again seen second time in 2012, which was also of animal origin. It was seen in the camels of East Africa in the Middle East, so it was also known as MERS-CoV, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. These coronaviruses are actually seen previously in humans and so also in animals. So now we will be knowing about COVID-19, which is a different form of the virus that was seen earlier. COVID-19 has evolved from the genetic reassortment of the influenza virus. It was first seen in China in the month of December 2019, where the patient reported hospitals with pneumonia, and there was a sudden rise in the pneumonia cases, which was suspicious for the doctors. Later, it was found that it's an outbreak of the coronavirus. In the month of January 2020, the Chinese scientists found the pathogen that caused pneumonia and which has led to an abnormal rise in the pneumonia patients. So, in the month of January, the Chinese scientists named it as COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2. After the virus got a special name, its diagnosis was done by RT-PCR method. It's the reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction method. In this method, we will be knowing the genetic sequence of the virus. The special testing kits were also developed. By the end of the January, it was found out that the virus is from an animal reservoir as it was seen before in SARS 2003, for which it was also known as SARS-CoV-2. Now let's discuss the characteristics of COVID-19. The characteristics are, it is an airborne disease which was caused by the droplet infection and fomite cells. What is droplet infection? When we sneeze, there are small finer drops that comes out of our nose and falls on the surfaces. These drops, when they become dried, they are known as the fomite cells. These cells come in air and come in contact to us and enter inside our body. The signs and symptoms are seen depending on the things that happens inside the lungs. So when an individual comes in contact with coronavirus, it enters through the nose and mouth. It stays in the neck or the tracheal level for 8 to 16 hours. It requires 2 to 3 days to reach the lungs. As soon as the virus reaches the lungs, it shows its symptoms and the patient is asymptomatic for 2 to 3 days. When this virus reaches the lungs, it actually affects the type 2 cells present in the lungs. The lungs have two types of cells. One cell is essential for the gaseous exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and the second cell is essential for the release of surfactants that prevent the collapse of the alveoli. These alveoli are the bunch of grape-like structures present in the lungs, and it is the smallest unit of lungs which contracts and relaxes in order to make the gaseous exchange possible, and these surfactants prevent the alveoli from collapsing. Once the alveoli is collapsed, this oxygen exchange will be stopped. When the virus reaches the type 2 cells, the spikes of the viruses recognizes the ACE2 receptors. These ACE2 receptors actually are the binding sites of the COVID-19 virus. When the virus binds into it, it multiplies itself inside the cell and the number of virus count increases. This causes a cell injury at the alveolar level. When there is cell injury, the defense system gets activated. Activation of the defense system leads to the accumulation of the WBCs at the site of inflammation, which causes the fluid deposition in the alveoli. It hence restricts the gaseous exchange. Deposition of the fluid leads to the development of dry cough. Followed by dry cough, second symptom is the fever. When this process continues for a prolonged period, then it causes a chronic inflammatory stage where there occurs generalized body inflammation leading to fever, accumulation of fluid in the pulmonary spaces or alveoli, which leads to the decrease in the oxygen level, and this oxygen level when decreases, it causes breathing problems or known as the dyspnea or difficulty to breathe, as the lungs and the alveoli do not expand more and more, facilitating the gaseous exchange. So this coronavirus is a viral disease. It has no permanent cure, as the common cold also don't have any permanent cure. So the management of COVID-19 is made by three ways. First is prevention of the virus, Second thing is the medications that is essential to be taken when the virus attacks us. The third thing is the management of complications when the person recovers after being affected by the disease. The first is the prevention. How can we prevent this coronavirus coming in contact to us or going inside us? We can prevent coronavirus by use of mask. Sanitation and hygiene includes the washing of hands regularly. This washing of hands has been put to an importance by the government in the last few days, and so also the use of the sanitizers. Wearing of clean clothes keep the house and surroundings clean, and use disinfectants. Now let's discuss how can we develop the immunity of an individual. The immunity of an individual depends on the defense system of the body. This defense system depends on the proper nutrition of the immunity system, and so also the practice of the exercises. The exercises we need to practice. Before knowing the exercises, we must have three things clear in our mind: why we will be doing exercise, what are the exercise we will be doing, and how we will be doing. Why? As I said, by doing exercise, the nutrition that we take is supplied to the specific areas. Then what are the exercises we must do and how should we do? First is, we should prevent the entry of the germ by activating the physical defense of our body. As you know, the cough and sneeze are the physical defense mechanism present in our body. We must initiate these reflexes in order to stop the entry of the virus easily inside our body. We must have heard that use of the nasal decongestant, but regular use of nasal decongestant has a lot of side effects. We can use normal saline water in order to cause decongestion. Then the second thing is the exercises we must practice, where we need to target or focus. The exercises must be focusing on the breathing. So we need to strengthen our respiratory muscles. In respiration, there are two groups of muscles. First is the primary group of muscle that works continuously without our knowledge, and the secondary group of muscle that only works when we deeply inspire or expire. In the first group of muscle, the only muscle involved in the respiration is the diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped muscle which also divides the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. The strengthening of diaphragm is quite difficult as it requires a lot of concentration. We can strengthen the diaphragm by simply lying down with a pillow under the knee and one pillow under the neck. This is the resting position where the diaphragm is relaxed. We need to keep our hand on the upper abdomen and lower thorax part, and we need to concentrate and try to breathe under our hand. Like, it is a normal breathing pattern that we practice throughout the day without any knowledge. We can strengthen the second group of muscle or the muscles of the thoracic cavity by taking a deep inhalation, holding the breath for 1, 2, 3 seconds and completely exhale out the air forcibly till the lungs are evacuated. This is a very strenuous exercise. We need to practice it thoroughly and with a lot of patience. We also can improve our breathing capacity, or the breathing muscles could be strengthened by moving our arms in coordination with respiration. Like, when we inhale, we should elevate the arms up, and while we exhale, we should relax the arms down. This not only strengthens the respiratory muscles, so also it's good for the thoracic spine. We can also practice the strengthening of the respiratory muscles, so also by taking care of our spinal muscles by doing the respiration in coordination with the cat camel exercise. In cat camel exercise, we are put on the forelimbs. That means our knees touching the ground and two palms touching the ground. When we inhale, we should bend our spine to extension, and while exhalation, we should crook our spine like a camel. We physios have a very significant role in the ICU setup when the patient is on ventilatory support. What happens in this ventilatory support? The work of the lungs is done by a machine known as the ventilator. Mechanism of respiration is done by the ventilator. We can remove the secretions of the lungs when the patient is on a ventilator by positioning of the patient. We should position the patient in such a way that the segment of lungs where the fluid is accumulated must be elevated from the nose level. The common position that we use is the prone position. What we do, we elevate the waist by putting some pillows under the lower abdomen. At this position, the patient is asked to inhale and exhale. While inhalation and exhalation, we apply certain manual techniques with our hands like the percussion, vibrations and shaking. It is very effective in removing the secretions from the various segments of the lungs to the main tract. When the secretions come from the segments to the main tract, we can remove the secretions by a suction, or we can practice the huffing and coughing technique where the patient is asked to inhale and breathe out with making a cough sound like this actually removes out the secretion from the main tract to the mouth. So, in this COVID-19, we physios have a greater role in the ICU setup and in also the preventing the disease and also the preventing the complications. How can we prevent the complications? If the person practices these simple exercises of the breathing, then there would be less complications of breathing. The treatment of the complications depends on the level of the complexity of the individual. I hope you like this video and I hope you have watched the video completely, and if you haven't watched my previous videos, then go on to my channel and watch the previous videos, and please like, share and subscribe, because this information is very essential for everyone. Thank you.